So good evening. My name is Jeff Haney. I am the collection manager at the Marshall M. Frederick Sculpture Museum, and I am the host tonight. I'm really glad to be here for that. And co-hosting is Joanna Lodico. She is my colleague. This is the first in a series of Hip Hop Icons film speaker series that we're doing, and some of you hopefully had the chance to see Beat Street, or you've seen it in the past or seen it recently, because they're going to touch on that a little bit maybe. And so exhibition is supported by Michigan Humanities, Michigan Council for the Arts and Cultural Affairs, Saginaw Valley Foundation, and the film series is sponsored by the SVSU Office of Multicultural Affairs and the Saginaw African Cultural Festival. And I think I got everybody. And especially the exhibition Hip Hop Icons, I want to thank Dr. Khaled El Hakim. He's brought this exhibition to us. He is the curator of Hip Hop Icons. And you can view this exhibition virtually by visiting marshallfredericks.org and click at the bottom of the screen. You'll see the Hip Hop Icons logo, and that'll take you to the exhibition. There's a lot to see there. There's about 160 objects, a lot of videos. And also I want to say that Dr. Khaled El Hakim, he is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, which can be found at blackhistorymobilemuseum.com, all one word, no spaces or anything like that. We're going to be monitoring the chat session, so if you have any questions that you would like us to ask of our guests tonight, please feel free to put those in there. At the end, I wanted some people to know that we will be sending out some surveys for people to take after this is over with. And it's the surveys that keep us informed as to how we're doing and keep providing these great programs for you. That's a great photo. I love that photo of Dr. Khalid.
Yes.
The Black History Mobile Museum. I spent a lot of time on there. Great site. Really, really, really great stuff. So our film speaker series, again, tonight, we have two great guests joining us. We have MC Sha-Rock, who is considered the first female rapper or MC within the hip hop community. She has been referred to as the mother of the mic, signifying her role as a prominent female figure among early rappers. As a member of the first hip hop crew to appear on television, known as Funky 4+1, her style of delivering raps on early mixtapes influenced notable rappers like MC Lyte and DMC of Run DMC, Daryl McDaniels. And I'm sure she could tell you a lot more about her amazing life as a pioneer of hip hop, more so than I can. And DJ Butter, he started DJing when he was 12 years old and began to play house parties in Highland Park, Puritan Avenue. Then he went on to become D12's first DJ in 1999. He's produced more than 200 rappers from the Detroit area, including Corrupt from the Dog Pound, Eminem, and D12, and many more. DJ Butter has also gained notoriety in hip hop circles for Underground magazine that he started as a senior in high school, called Funky Fresh in the Flesh, where he included his art skills in his own publication. DJ Butter has several paintings in this exhibition, which you're going to want to check out because they're absolutely amazing. And I also want to say that on Saturday, February 27th, from 12 to 1, DJ Butter is going to be doing a painting class. This is going to be really, really cool. So you'll want to register for that, again, on our website. Again, thanks to Saginaw African Cultural Festival, Saginaw Valley Office of Multicultural Student Affairs, Saginaw Valley Foundation. And again, our calendar of events on marshallfredericks.org will give you all of the programming that we have coming up. And I just wanted to say that for the next 3 Thursdays, we're going to be doing the film series again. So we will have next Thursday, we'll have 8 Mile with Sup MC and Ms. Corona. That'll be again at 7 o'clock. The week after that, Do the Right Thing. I'm looking forward to this one because we just had Professor Griff at the museum. So I'm looking forward to him having some further conversation. And then the week after that, which would be, I think, the last Thursday, the 25th of February, is Breed and Bootleg Legends of Flint Rap Music. This is a premiere film that we're going to be showing, and we're looking forward to seeing that from our local community. And with that, I would really like to turn this over to our wonderful guests so that they can tell you a little bit more about themselves. So, Shyrock and DJ Butter, okay, it's all you.
Me first? No, you go ahead, Sean. You want me to go first?
Yeah,
You
of course.
last
Yes.
but not least, you. Well, actually, I started DJing. Like when I seen Wild Style in the beginning, um, and Jam Master Jay and all those guys in the beginning, and Beat Street, all that stuff came and kind of hit us all in one era where it was just the influence was so about
Mhm,
fun, and I think it
mhm,
kind of resonated with everybody worldwide. It's just the art of having the tools to do hip hop, and
mhm.
that's where I was able to survive in the ghetto. On top of that, and have hip hop, and hold on to hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes, yes.
that was the whole thing. A lot of my friends passed away from
Mhm.
15 years old on up. It's like my rap buddies and stuff. So, guys wasn't able to have a good drink or drive a car. You know what I'm saying? So hip hop kind of saved our life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? The reason why I wanted you to go first because it's like I'm inspired by other people's story. Even though I have never met you in person, I know you. I know your accolades. I
Mm.
don't know everything, but I respect you and everything that you and D12 have brought to the culture. And so I like to hear stories about, how hip hop culture has affected many people outside of New York City. So
Right.
for me, in 1976, I started off in the hip hop culture as a B girl. I was a nomadic B girl that would travel around the whole section of New York City, specifically the Bronx, to different parties that they were having out in the park. So if you was a nomadic B girl or a nomadic B boy, and you was a DJ, you basically knew who were the prominent B boys and B girls that were out there, at the time. And so that's what was my introduction into the hip hop culture. Although at the time we didn't call it hip hop, we just called it the jams. It wasn't until 19 at the end of 1977 that I became a part of a group, right? But I wasn't it wasn't not yet called the Funky Four. So in 1977, in November 1977, I became a part of a group. It was just two guys and me. In 1978, in the beginning of 78, I became now, although I was of the first female MC of hip hop culture, in the beginning of 78, the group had formed. We became the original Funky Four, which was Keith Keith, Shyrock, KK Rockwell, and Raheem. Raheem in 1979 went on to become a part of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. But I became the first female MC of hip hop culture, the first female MC a part of an all male group, and a founding member of the culture of hip hop. So a lot of people, when they say, okay, well, Shyrock is the plus one more, I was original Funky Four before I was a plus one. And also, I'm a founding member of the culture because even though people say, okay, well, hip hop started in 73, you had, people that will just go out and they'll do certain styles of dancing, but it wasn't really called break dancing, at that time. So in 1978 was the pivotal year where you had different groups forming. You had people trying to set up like the Funky Four. The Funky Four had a female, which was Sha Rock. So in order for people to be able to deal with the group and have the same formula, they began to start searching for other females to be able to deal with me. 78 in hip hop culture is like a pivotal year when all of the elements really begin to start coming together. I'm a part of the culture as a founding member. I'm that female, the first female to be a part of rap battles. Me and the Funky Four helped created the rap battles along with the Furious Five. Now, Raheem was with us in the beginning. We used to battle the Furious Four. That wasn't the Furious Five yet. So we created those rap battles, that started with us. I'm a part of the era that we created the graffiti on your clothing. You know what I'm saying? In 78, 79. I'm a part of the era that taught MCs how to MCs, the back and forth, the cadences, the rhyming, the going back and forth, the songs, the chants, all of that. I'm a part of a group of the Funky Four that helped create it. All the stuff that you may see people doing now, the cassette tapes. Now, nowadays they call them mixtapes. I'm a part of the era that was called cassette tapes, where you would hear me rhyme along with the Funky Four or the Furious Four or the Furious Five at that time, and they will sell those tapes out of record shops. So I'm a part of the area that helped created everything that y'all see today. I am a founding member of hip hop culture, along with being the first female MC of hip hop culture.
Wow.
Yes, it's a lot more I can talk about, but I don't want to keep going on. We're going to talk about it. You can ask me what. I would like to ask you some questions too as well.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know that. They just know Sha-Rock a part of the Funky 4+1. Or they know Sha-Rock, for That's the Joint, one of our songs that's synonymous. They just know Sha-Rock as being, maybe some people know, as being the first female MC ever on national television, Saturday Night Live with Blondie
Right.
from Debbie Harry. That's what they know. They know Sha-Rock as being, I'm the first female to have a record deal. Now, in 1979, it's also a critical year. A critical year in 1979 was when records began to start being made. I'm the first female MC to have a record deal. Now, you may have other females, from the Sequence to Lady B, and all of them came out in 79. The difference with me is that I was on the streets of New York. I am a founder of hip hop culture. I didn't come into the game, just rapping. I was on those streets prior to making records.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
A part of the era of the teenagers that had little or no resources. Radio wouldn't play the songs that you was making. They thought hip hop was a fad, but I was that female along with the Funky Four that was pushing the culture forward so people could know hip hop culture outside of New York City. Yes. And I'm proud. I'm proud.
What inspired you? What gave you the confidence that's what, because you were so dominant, like it, just seeing you on Saturday Night Live is just like you had no fear. You carried yourself like you had a Uzi on you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, because it was something that you love. Let me tell you, we in New York City, and our story is not like, everybody in every city is from Detroit, to Chicago, to Los Angeles. Everybody was going through the same stuff we was going through. Poverty, you know what I'm saying? The politicians wasn't looking out for us, or anything like that. But we found a way to get out of it. You understand what I'm saying? We found a way to be distracted from what was going on around us, and took
Right.
it and turned it around, because we had little or no resources. That's
Right.
the only difference. And it was my environment. I love music. My mom used to, and my stepfather had introduced me to Isaac Hayes, had introduced me to James Brown, had introduced me to Elvis Presley, had introduced me to the Jacksons, and Millie Jackson, Sylvia Robinson,
Right.
So these are the people, that I like, because I like the way that they command the crowd. I like the way that they got the attention, of whoever their audience, whoever they were targeting. And so music was my life. That was something that made me get into it. And of course, being a B girl and going around and seeing all the music, and then seeing people like Melly Mel, from the Furious Five, Rhyme, that's who he is. What he is, the one really, really that I always wanted to be just better than. Melly Mel was that person that was my target. You
Wow.
understand? Because we were both almost the same age growing up. But the way that he can command the crowd as, a MC, because we were all out there together, I wanted to model myself behind him as a
Wow.
female. You understand what I'm saying? And
Yes.
that's what I did,
Tell me
Right.
something. Speaking of Melly Mel, and B Street
Right.
Breakdown, he mentioned in B Street Breakdown, don't be a slave to the computer back then. If you really listen to the lyrics back then, what made y'all so
Yeah.
ahead of y'all time back? It's like, was it in the food and the water or something? It's like, it's just so, it's just so ahead of your time. It's just, and I couldn't think about a computer in the 80s, for him to be so,
Yeah.
ahead of his time.
I think, okay, because I know, and I don't know if a lot of people know, but I know that he used that rhyme, again on like a different song. But the thing is that Melly Mel for me has always been a prolific rhymer. He's always been a prolific rhymer. And how the Beat Street thing came about was because they were holding auditions at the Roxy. The Roxy was on 18th Street. Now the Roxy was a place where, they would have like, at first it was a skating rink, but then they would have different people come in and have different shows and different parties, right? You would sometimes even find people like Madonna playing at the Roxy's, on a night, right? Or you may have African Bambaataa, or you may have, the Funky Four, a Double Trouble, or different groups will come in and playing at the Roxy. But with the Roxy on 18th Street, you had people coming from all over. You had people coming from Brooklyn, from Queens, from Manhattan, Harlem, Jersey, all over to come to the Roxy. But this particular day, Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier, which was, I think one of the ones that was backing it up, and Stan Lathan, they were holding auditions for Beat Street, right? And so I seen a flyer that was out at the time. But at the time, I was going through trying to get off the label with Sugar Hill Records. Now, Sugar Hill had already let 2 of the members go, but they wouldn't let the other 3 members go, without us going through a whole lot. So during that time, I was still with the Funky Four, but I had created the Us Girls. I was friends with Lisa Lee from African Bambaata's Camp. And I seen Debbie D like in the 80s. At one time we played together, like on a card, like I think like an 82 or 83. So I respected her because I seen the way that she would handle her business as an MC, like as a soloist. So I went to Lisa and I said, look, they're holding an audition, down at the Roxy. I said, I want to bring Debbie D in because she can she can rhyme, and I think she will, help complement us as a group. So we went down to the Roxy. Now it was everybody. It was a lot of people down there. Dougie Fresh hadn't yet came down there. The Treacherous Street hadn't yet came down there. But we was like the first like MCs that was there. Everybody else was trying to, just be a part of the movie, right? And so I went to Harry Belafonte. Like in the Roxy, they got like this VIP booth, like where you come to the VIP booth if you somebody, if you're a celebrity. Most of the celebrities are all up in the VIP booth. So that's particular time, Harry Belafonte came up in the booth while everybody's waiting to, be a part of the movie. So I said, look, we've been waiting for a long time. Myself, Lisa Lee, Debbie D, we the hottest females in New York City. We will complement the movie. So what can you do to get us into this movie? Because people know us. So we're going to assure you that people are going to come out to see the movie if we're in it. So he said, I tell you what, come down to my office on Tuesday and, see what we could do. So we went down to his office. The problem is that I was under contract with Sugar Hill. Lisa Lee and Debbie D didn't have a record deal. I had 2 record deals at that time. Wow. First I had Enjoy, and then I had Sugar Hill Records. They didn't have record deals. So it was nothing for them to be able to sign on to do the movie. I had to get permission from Sylvia Robinson because I was still under contract. So Harry Belafonte, I said, look, I don't know if she's going to let me do it, because I'm under contract. Harry Belafonte had to call her. He said, what's her number? I gave her number to Sugar Hill Records. He called her. Whatever they worked out, wow. That's how Melly Mel and the Furious Five and Grandmaster Flash got in the movie. The new Furious Five, they got in the movie because of me. The only way that they was going to get in there is that Sylvia worked something out with Harry Belafonte for me to do the movie and then have Melly Mel write the song, which will do the song. And that's how they got, the Sugar Hill Gang with Melly Mel being a part of it, and I mean, not the Sugar Hill Gang, but with, them in the movie. Right. You understand? And that's how Melly Mel and them was able to get in the movie through me, because they had to work something out, and they worked it out, and that's how I was able to do the movie. And then she worked out something with Harry Belafonte where Mel could do the hook for the song.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Tell me something. I want to ask you. You mentioned Dougie Fresh and Melly Mel. I know Dougie Fresh personally. He's like a giving person. You know, he's like a charitable spirit.
He is.
What when hip hop is done right, do you agree that it's like a fountain of youth button? You know, like you guys still stay young. You know, when you're not so stressed.
I think that's what hip hop culture is about. You understand? Don't get me wrong, but back in the days, we had to go through and it's in my movie, you know, but I'll tell you, you know, hip hop, we were dealt a crazy hand. Yeah, there was shootouts. Yeah, there was stick ups. Yeah, that was people getting robbed in clubs and all of that stuff. But what we did to make it better was to ensure that we had security. Every crew had their own security. Everybody knew each other's security. So when you say the fountain of youth and hip hop is supposed to be happy, that's what we did. We created our own security. So when we were in the clubs or the parties, we can be happy. We can listen to those James Brown beats. We can listen to the old school beats. We can be able to just have fun without worrying about getting stuck up. Well, we can have fun. Well, we wouldn't have to worry about, leaving, and not making it home. So when you talk about, people like Dougie Fresh and the youthfulness for everybody that's really in it, it's hip hop is in your heart.
Right.
And it may sound corny, you know what I'm saying? But look at you. You know what I'm saying? You still look young. And it may sound corny. It doesn't matter what era that you came into. If you hone hip hop culture and you love the culture and you love everything that it stands for, because hip hop didn't start out as peace, unity, having fun, but that's what those was the elements that we made to come together to keep all the negative away from us. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it led up to. So when you talk about youthness and you talk about Dougie Fresh and you're talking about, myself or maybe Kaz or, people that's out there that love hip hop culture, that's going to keep you young at heart. You understand what I'm saying? Because you know everything it means to you.
Right.
And you love what you do. And there's no stress behind it. You understand what I'm saying? Because I always felt everybody should get paid for what they do, right? But if you make it soul about money and then you lose your soul behind it, then you lost everything that hip hop means to you. So you know what? My thing is that, I'm gonna get paid for what I do, but I'm not gonna lose my soul behind not respecting the elements of what it truly means. You understand?
Right.
It may sound corny, but it's what it is,
Right. Tell me something. Speaking of that,
it's what it is.
When hip hop started going from the house party to the strip club, what machine you think that came into play? Is it big business or, because it seemed like the fun hip hop, like they stopped creating, they stopped congregating, and I think this is like it's just like now I would have loved to hear Jaleel and Ecstasy recently on some music. You know what I'm saying? Why is that like it? Is it because they leave everything to the classics and they're touring, and when it seemed like the youth kind of missed the language y'all gave us? You know what?
I just think that we're talking about time, like a period piece. We're talking about, a certain era, and my thing is that the only reason why the youth is missing out on some of the, prolific and maybe different types of forms of rap is because it's not being fed to them. You understand what I'm saying? Right. And the only way that they can hear it is probably going to certain events, or listening to it on Sirius XM or certain radio stations, certain clubs that cater to, certain type of music or that old school piece or that period piece or that 70s or 80s or 90s. And so my thing is that they're only missing out because they're not afforded the opportunity to hear it as much, you know, unless they're they're hard old school hip hop fanatics that go out and try to seek the areas that play the music. And my thing is that when you talk about you know, the strip clubs and the music and whatever, I don't know, I just think that I wouldn't put it all on the strip clubs. It's just that whatever is popping, you know, right then, or whatever DJ, it goes back to the DJ Butter. It's like whatever the DJ see, because it all started with the DJ. So we can put it on the MCs and we can say this, but everything started with the DJ. So if the DJ is going to spin a certain type of music, or if they're receiving payola, or if they doing this and that to bring the music, whatever, it goes back to the DJ. Because if the DJ is playing it on the radio stations or any stations or whatever, then that's what you're being fed, because it all starts with the DJ. Right. You understand? So I don't know. I wouldn't blame it on the strip clubs, because I know back in the days, you know, hustlers, you know, drug dealers, everything, they go to the places that the music that they want to hear. They go to the places where they know that the DJ is going to play your music. Because most of the time, if you got a real good DJ, that DJ is going to bring the crowd in, because they know what type of music you're going to play, and they know people are going to be there, and they know you're going to keep them on the dance floor. So I wouldn't put it on the strip clubs. I wouldn't put it on. I put it back on the DJ, because it all started with the DJ. So whatever the DJ plays, that's what the DJ pushes to the maximum. Right. So everybody's just out there listening, because it started with the DJ.
I don't know if you saw Funkmaster Flex recently did DJ K Slate did a 50 MCs with a Melly Mel.
Cass told me about it.
Man,
yeah. I didn't know.
It's so open-minded. I mean, just seeing that, and all my DJ buddies was like, this is what we've been missing, you know.
See, I didn't hear it yet, because I just spoke to Cass a couple of days ago. So he had called me, right? Because he was like, Shab wants you to do, he wanted to come out with another one, you know, with more people, you know, on it. So he asked me to be on it. So he said, but did you hear, you know, the 50, you know, MCs and stuff for like, whatever. So I was like, no, I didn't hear it. Tell me about it. He said, yo, it's popping, you know, whatever. You got to listen to it. It's all on YouTube. But I said, I'll check it out. But when he told me that it was out there, I was like, yo, that's good, because for some people, they want to hear that, you know, and I know that Kaz is trying to do another one. He's trying to do one, you know, similar to that, and asked me to participate. And he sent me the beat to ask me to participate on that one as well. But I think it's awesome when you can get dope MCs to come together, you know, and show their skills, you know, and it's because the market is still out there. People still want to listen to, you know, their favorite MCs, or they, you know, rhyming, you know, and say that I can still go the distance, you know?
Yeah, I think too is the kids get a lot of the culture, the fashion part of it, but I think is a lot of the unity and what used to be the portrayal of the unity is just, it has to come together. You know, they can go back and go grab some 84.
So you don't. So you think that where do you think the unity got disbanded?
Well, I just think it's through I think they just let the it was so many people that broke up before before even Napster hit. It was just like, you know, before the internet hit, it's just like just so much, and so the information is not there. It's like even, you know, even in Detroit, a lot of the guys just, you know, but it was burnt out for the, you know, from 90 to 2000, and especially in Detroit. Then it's so all the tapes, the throwback tapes and stuff, they kind of got rid of that stuff. So the information is not there. So I kind of reach out. So who
got rid of it? You know, like, so who got rid of it? You mean like, do people in Detroit somewhat like, let's say New York or LA, but you still have your underground that still respect, you know, that D12 feel and all of that stuff. You still have people in Detroit, you know, that still respect that, right?
Right. I just think it's you know how powerful Ralph McDaniels is with the footage.
Yes, Big Up Movement.
Yeah, it's just a lot of the you know, it's like the care factor, you know what I'm saying? And that's,
Yeah.
you know, it
Yeah.
nowadays, I know a lot of my DJ buddies would just see Rock on something, just be like, yo, let me, if it premiere Rock, or, you know, just that's how we felt
Right.
seeing K Slade, and, you know, even just seeing the
This
unity,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think a
And K
lot of,
say about that life though. He about that life. He's
yeah,
always been one to you know, take care of, you know, MCs, you know what I'm saying? Like
right,
those MCs that love the culture, you know what I'm saying? Just about spitting, riding that beat. You know, K Slay has always been that DJ that never swayed. You know what I mean?
right,
He's
right,
always been that one.
right, right.
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
y'all the essence. I mean, we got it. That's the only way we gonna teach and give respect that it being DJs. You gotta have a, you know, the history lesson and the future lesson. You know, so you know that's just what it
Yeah.
is. I've been
I
doing
think
Dilla
I
Day. Go
You've
ahead,
been doing what?
Jay Dilla Day for the sake of that. You know,
Wow.
because it's just so he died so young, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it seemed like in Detroit, it seemed like the death part is sexy. It's like
Yeah.
it's like no,
I
you know,
understand.
it's like no, we didn't really cherish a lot of that stuff. So
Right.
to keep it fresher again, you know, it's just every year
And
is just to keep us young, you know.
and this is why I commend the museum, you know, for, you know, coming together to archive, you know, the Black 101 Mobile Museum, you know, all the artifacts that's in there now. Because what I like about it is, of course, I'm from New York. Of course, I'm a founding member, and I ride or die for New York. Sometimes even if they acting crazy, you understand. But this
Right,
is the thing, though. When it's all said and done, to have something that represents Detroit. And this is what I like about the museum, you know, that's in Detroit right now. It's like you're representing Detroit. Now, if you seen it and you seen the virtual, you know, it's
yes,
not just about Detroit. It is about Detroit. But I love the way that the museum has put together icons around the world, right?
right,
But
right,
they made sure that they highlighted Detroit. And that
mm,
is what's supposed to happen because you're supposed to represent your era. And for the people that come out of Detroit to say, listen, we hear you. We know
yes,
you made that contribution. We
yes,
rocking with you. And will forever, you know, honor you, you know, in the way that you should. All DJs, all MCs, all graph artists, anybody coming from Detroit, you're supposed to look out for Detroit first.
right,
But at the same time, the museum has also looked out for icons around the world. And if everybody's out there and you listening or you haven't, they're not on right now and later they get to see it, you got to check out the museum because y'all represent Detroit and it's supposed, that's how it should be, you
right,
know.
right.
That's how it should be.
You right. You know, I recently seen you on a Lord Jamal Rodriguez show, and
Yes.
you talked about being on the front line and
Yes.
how like sexuality didn't matter. It was just raw MCing. You know,
Hmm.
kind of talk about that. You know, just like because nowadays it's just every song is you know just kind of raunchy from a female perspective, and you
and
know,
and 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 I want to say, you know, I give respect to all females that's out there, and I'm
indeed,
never going to disrespect any females in their lyrics because I look at it from a different perspective. And my perspective is, let me answer your question first. Now, you got to remember, I'm gonna have to always be biased because I come up in the era where it was about your MC skills. You know, I come up in the era where I was a part of the battling, you know, in 1978, you know what I'm saying? We battling, you know what I'm saying? Going back and forth, 79, we're battling. I'm in the parks. I'm a part of the era that set the stage, you know, for what hip hop is, you know, from
right,
MCs. So I didn't come up where, you know, now if I was eye candy to, you know, young teenagers that was out there, I didn't know about it because
You
we
was.
were basically, but listen, but for me, to be honest with you, I was shy. I wasn't really like into boys. I
Right.
was into music, and I was into rhyme, and I was into commanding the crowd. And when I got out there, I wanted to engage the crowd where they didn't understand nobody else but Chiraq. That was my focus. So my thing is that I come up in the era with the Melly Mels. You understand what I'm saying? Well, we
Right.
used to battle. My group used to battle Melly Mel, and the Furious Four at that time. So
Right.
we didn't come up. And for your audience to know, we were the two most prominent groups in New York City, the Funky Four and the Furious Four at the time, and then the Furious Five and the Funky Four plus one. We were the prominent groups in New York City that we had massive people following us from all over the world. How the Cold Crushing them came into place is because the Furious Five and the Funky Four, we had record deals. So we were on tour with the first Sugar Hill Rap Tour. We went on tour, so that allowed other groups within New York City to really excel because we were out on tour with record deals. So now, when you talk about the females and whatever, I didn't have to go through the misogyny type thing, or what. I didn't go because it was based on skills. I was battling males and females. So it was based on skills. So I didn't have to deal with that. And so when you talk about other females, and some may say raunchy, or some may say, oh, I wouldn't do that. Once again, I come from a different era. To say that hip hop is not just about MCing. You understand what I'm saying? Or rhyme. And you have the culture. You have, like when people talk about hip hop, one thing you want to do is just hip hop is just one thing, rhyming. It's not. It's that culture. It's that life. It's the B-boy. It's the B-girl. It's the graffiti. Rapping and MCing, whatever you want to call yourself, a rapper, you want to call yourself MC. That's just one element. So when you have a female that's rhyming or she's rapping, or whatever stuff, she's just celebrating one element of the culture. Right? But that doesn't classify the whole culture as hip hop. So when you talk about, rhyme or whatever, they got a right to talk about what they want to talk about, how they want to talk about whatever, because MCing or rapping is a part of the culture. Now, certain things I wouldn't do. No, I wouldn't do it, but I'm not going to bash another one because that's them. That's what they do. You understand? And there's an audience out there for what they do. Now, for me, it's like, of course, people want to say you got to be conscious, of stuff like whatever. But everybody is not conscious. Everybody is not, about the consciousness. They're entertaining. So if you look at it from a different perspective and not hold them to it, you be like, oh, I wouldn't do it. Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Why did you do that? I look at it from a different perspective. The rhyming and MCing is a different part of the culture. And if a person has a right to talk about what they want to talk about, how they want to talk about it, you can call it hip hop, but you cannot call it hip hop. But for me, that's just one element of the culture. And they're exercising one element of the culture. Rhyming, MCing, rapping, whatever. One element of the culture.
Yeah.
It doesn't represent hip hop culture.
Right. But it's just the way you guys, it was like a lot of class. The way you carried yourself in hip hop coming up. Even now, it's like looking at Beat Street earlier today, I seen how you had sex, money, and murder and all that stuff in that film, but it was just done with class.
Yeah.
I know Fat Joe is one of your biggest fans, and he's been in the game for so long, but he does so much for the culture with class, whether he's raunchy or his people skills are just so through the roof. And
right because he's from that old school. He although he didn't come up like an era, he was right behind me, so he in New York, so he knows the elements. He knows, and this is one thing that I wish that so many people would be able to do, like if it's about the money and all about the money, then so be it. But a lot of times as an artist or MC, as a DJ, if you can go back and just see how it all started, you know what I'm saying? What made this culture what it is today? It could only enhance you as an artist to be that type of person. You understand what I'm saying? Because even like a lot of the songs now, that people use, whatever a lot of them think these songs just happen to come out, but they don't know these songs, or like the Catalyst songs that we used to rhyme to, back in the parks, in the 70s, And so I think that, once you find out what the culture was really built on, even if you want to do, you make it money, but I just think as an artist, even it just enhance you as a person to be like on top of your game, because you know it all. You know what I'm saying? You've learned to experience it all. You can adapt to your environment where, if somebody throws a beat at you, you'd be like, well, I don't rap to that beat because I don't do all that. But you become a versatile MC, a versatile DJ, when you could play anything and you could rhyme off anything. Don't say it's not like you don't have to, you really got to learn to do it, but that makes you a better artist when you able to adapt to your environment. Because I can. I don't care. Everybody figure out my age, but I can adapt to my environment because I listen to every single thing. Old school, new school, true school. Now I listen to everything. You understand? And that makes you a better person as an artist, because then you're not so closed-minded, and still stuck in the past, stuck in the middle. You know what I'm saying? You're able to adapt to your environment when you listen to everything before, then, and now, and whatever's out there coming. You understand? You just have to be open-minded as an artist.
Indeed.
Yes.
I want to ask you something. When you first saw the playback of Beat Street, in its entirety, what did you think when you saw the whole film playback?
Well, for Beat Street, I thought it was a good movie. I thought at the time, I still was with my group, the Funky Four, but we did the Us Girls, and I thought it was a experience for all of us, because now you had key players like Sidney Poitier, Stan Lathan, and Harry Belafonte that was putting this movie together, from the Bronx, and showing some of the, the things that was going on, in the Bronx at that time. And then it basically opened up, rap music, graffiti, it told a story, to people around the world. And it's so crazy though, because I think 2015 or 2016 or something like that, they had like the first Beat Street reunion in BB King's. And I was the Us Girls was hosting it. So I stood on stage, hosted all the night. But are you talking about people from all over the world? Thousands of people was there at BB King's for the Beat Street reunion, and it was off the chain. It was off the chain. People were coming with their clothes on. I mean, they came from all over the world, and this was held at BB King's, and it was off the chain. It was awesome. Yes. I wish you could have been there, but Beat Street, I think it's it was a very good movie. They believed in the movie, and it's good to, when you have, your children and your grandchildren, that be like, oh, look at grandma. You know what I'm saying? That's you, grandma, this and that. Yeah, I do got grandchildren, but just to have them, still, put that movie, out for millions of people to watch every year. It's always, I receive a residual check, okay, it was on this channel, whatever. But it's good to know that, that's a movie that would be in household for many years to come, because you had, and the crazy thing about it is that, like, when we did Beat Street, I wasn't even aware of some of the actresses and actors that were already like playing, different roles, in different movies. And so when you go back and you look at it, you was like, wow, she was in that movie too. Cause it's like, we seen them, we was there, we had different parts, but to know that these people, like the Ray John Chong's and, all of it, that was Cheech and Chong's daughter, and then you had, what's his name? The Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee, their son, was the DJ. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when you go and you find these synonymous people that were attached to you know, like a lot of the stars that were already in movies, you'd be like, yo, that's crazy. I didn't know that they were in the movie. I didn't know that he was, you know, that brother, or, you know, that son, you know, or that actress that was in movies, you know. So I thought it was good because it offered, you know, a lot of different actresses and actors an opportunity to be a part of an historical movie, you know.
Right, right.
Yes.
I want to ask you one other thing too. Did Puma ever really look out for Lee and all those guys? I mean, those guys rep that brand so so heavy.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I know with Lee, I hung out with Lee before COVID. So year before last, I hung out with Lee. So we was doing something together up in New York, you know, and I was trying to bring him on with Khalid, you know, to talk about, you know, the Beat Street and whatever. So I keep in contact with Lee.
Yeah.
So he's around, very humble, you know, guy, but maybe one day you can ask him, you know, did Puma look out for him, because they represented to the fullest, but I don't know. And who knows, because, you know, back then, when you talk about people being up on their A game far as, you know, the business side, you know, I don't know how that worked out, you know. So maybe
you guys,
in the future.
you back then when you guys pretty much managed yourselves back then.
Yeah, like for us, you know, even with us having the Funky Four, you know, in the beginning we had a manager, which was Jazzy D, which was my DJ Breakout's brother. So we had a manager up until our second record deal with Sugar Hill Records, you know. And the thing is that after then we was managing our own self. Even with a major record, we was managing, you know, our own self. Although we was signed a contract that we wasn't really aware of how it went down with Nobi Waters, we still was managing, you know, ourselves, you know, as a group, because we had always did it, you know. And so a lot of times, you know, in the beginning, you don't understand, or you don't know the mechanism of your worth for us in the beginning, and you know, far as, you know, monetary, you know, aspects and deals, and, you know, sneaker deals or shoe deals or lead you didn't know, because that market at the time wasn't really figured out yet. It wasn't until a couple of years later when they realized, you know what I'm saying, that that it was a brand, you know, then you could brand yourself with other things. So it was trial and error for all of us that came up in my era in the 70s. You understand what I'm saying? In the 80s, you know, because the business aspect was just experiencing how they can make money out of this, you know.
Yes.
Because you would probably only have about 1 or 2 records that was on the radio, you know, in 79, you know, but until, you know, the industry realized that this was a money-making deal and how they can capitalize up on it, that didn't come until, you know, I would say like the end of the 80s going into the 90s, if so, you know.
Right.
Guys, I want to open this up to some of the people that we have and ask you guys a few questions. If you don't mind, I don't know if anybody does, they can unmute themselves and feel free to ask.
Yes.
I want to I'll get it started with, I want to backtrack to what you just said. When I watched Beat Street, what was the Puma versus Adidas thing? That was so cool. You had the red versus the blue. And was that intentional, unintentional?
I don't think it was intentional. When you had like the New York City Breakers, and then you had the Rocksteady Crew, that's just what they wore. You understand? And so that was their signature thing. If they was, you know, a Adidas person, that's what they wore. If there was a you know, Puma thing, that's what they wore. So I don't think it was intentional. I think that's what represented their crew at the time. You understand? Because we all wore either or. You know, from the Procast to the Adidas to the Pumas, you know, everybody out there, you know, switch up. But it was just certain crews, or certain, you know, b-boy crews that would wear certain types of sneakers, you know.
Run DMC made the Adidas Superstar so popular.
Yes.
Right.
Still
Yes,
sell
they
them.
did. Yes.
All right,
Yes.
anybody who has any questions, just unmute yourself. And
Yep.
I know Roberto, Indigo, you guys must have a question.
Yes, I definitely do. First, I just want to thank MC Shawrock and DJ Butter for a wonderful discussion on hip hop. I'm the director of multicultural student affairs and a colleague of of Dr. El Hakim. So
Yes.
I really want to just thank you for number one, supporting his exhibit and his work and for conversation and the context you provided. I actually teach here at the university, and I use hip hop pedagogy to teach writing here at the
Yes.
university, and it examines the cultural and societal influence hip hop has had on American society and culture. And so for me, it's just an honor to be to hear you speak about those early beginnings. And I've been taking notes fast and furiously to share with my class this semester. So thank you so much for that.
No problem.
We do within that course is we explore the different contributions from areas of hip hop. And of course, in Beat Street, you see a high rate of, and even if you watch movies like Breaking, stuff like that, of Latinx culture, as specifically as as break dancers and graffiti artists. Just kind of want to and then of course as time goes on, they start evolving as MCs and performers and things like that. Kind of what's your take on that? And since you were there in the culture, how did that come about? Because we know Black and brown communities often live together, right? And what's your take on that?
Okay, so my take on it, sir, is that from the beginning, when you're talking about MCs, we were always MCs before we were rappers, right? And so we were calling ourselves MCs, and the graffiti was there before rappers. It wasn't until 1979 when rap records came out, and then you had people like Sugar Hill Records, and then you had Enjoy Records with Sylvia Robinson and her husband were older, owners of Sugar Hill, and then you had Bobby Robinson, who was older, and so they were the ones who had begun to start switching the title of MCs to rappers. That's why you would see our song like "Rapping and Rocking the House," or "Rapper's Delight," or this and that. So we were always called MCs from the beginning. It's on the flyers, from 78, 79, and all. We were always called MCs. Graffiti and the transition, graffiti was already always there. You would see it on our clothes, you would see it on our flyers, you would see it hand painted on my DJ breakouts doom buggy, you know what I'm saying? So all of these elements were already entwined into the culture. But even though we were saying like hip hop, we were saying it in our rhymes, like to the hip hop, don't stop. We were saying it in our rhymes, but it wasn't until Bambaataa really started traveling around the world, and then he, wind up having all of the elements, together being called, okay, well, this is hip hop culture, even though we were already celebrating all the elements in the culture and we were rhyming about hip hop. It wasn't titled as the culture until Bam really started traveling around the world and just put a name to it. You understand?
Yep. Thank you.
So everything was entwined together, from the beginning. It didn't just happen, like in the 80s or the 90s. All the elements and everything that was going on was there, in the 70s. Everything. So is somebody talking? Because I didn't hear.
Yeah. And anybody else with some questions, speak up, unmute yourself, or type it in the chat box as well. We can go that way too.
Well, I got another question if I can help spur the conversation, because again, I'm just
Let's go.
here.
Yeah, let's go.
So
Let's go.
so of course, we contemporary culture, the youth of today, they know about the Salt and Peppers, and of course they know kind of about the early female MCs, Queen Latifah and things like that. How does it make you feel sometimes? Because when they think of pioneers, they go right to them, but your name might not be mentioned or out there as much. Number one, how does that make you feel? But number two, how do we get your name out there to let them know?
Okay.
Support you and let's make this happen, because
Okay.
needs to be told. Your story.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let me explain something to you. In the beginning, right? In the beginning, I had a conversation with Fab Five Freddy, right? It was the year that Salt and Pepper was receiving an award. Could y'all hear me? Because somebody went blank.
Yes.
Okay. So it was a year that Salt and Pepper was receiving an award, I think, on VH1, right? And so I said to Fab Five Freddy, I said, oh, Freddie, I said, I don't understand why you're not out there talking about Sha Rock and riding with me when you know that you used to come up to the Bronx. You know that you was the one who helped us get on Saturday Night Live. You know that Charlie Ahern came to the Valley Park in 1980 with that famous Sha Rock green shirt. I'm Sha Rock, I can't be stopped, you know, and photographed me. I'm the first female MC that Charlie Ahern photographed and came to see in New York City. He's the person that is the director of the movie Wild Style. So I said, I don't understand why you not out there fighting for me when you know what I did to this culture, when you know that there was never another female before me. So he said, Sha Rock, he said, I know. He said, but you have to tell your own story because nobody could tell it better than you. I say, oh yeah, okay, that's true. But you in the position to do such. So I think in general, at first I was upset because you're talking about $1 billion culture that I, as a female, helped to produce. You and a founding member. So when people say pioneer, sir, I'm not a pioneer. I'm a founding member of the culture, of the hip hop culture, as well as the first female MC of the hip hop culture. And I learned to not hold them responsible. You know why? For the people that didn't know, because they didn't know, because they were not a part of that era. You know, they came almost a decade or a half later. But when you find out and you know, still, I don't hold them responsible because people are not going to tell your story because they're trying to tell their own story. They're trying to tell their own brand. So it doesn't matter, you know, if, a person doesn't tell my story, because I feel like the Salt and Peppers and the Queen Latifahs and the Little Kims and all of them, they have their story to tell. They contribute to this culture as well. So they have a right to tell their story. They don't have a right to tell my story. But at the same time, it is my responsibility and teaching institutions like yourself responsibility to teach the truth. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you are, and anybody out there that call themselves lecturers or call themselves hip hop historians or call themselves teachers at universities and colleges or organizations that teach hip hop studies, it is your responsibility to put that information out there, because when you're teaching factual. And if you don't understand, and if you don't know, and if you don't know, then don't worry about other people's story. And I'm not saying nobody's being lazy. I'm just putting it out there. Do your research, because I promise you will never find nobody before Sha Rock. I have all that. People could say what they want, from cassette tapes to videos, actual footage, actual flyers. I have it all as opposed to anybody. So whatever I say, I don't just say it and can't back it up. I have documents that's in Smithsonian Institute, that's in Cornell University, that's all around the world to prove who I say I am. And no one could come with anything prior or before. And not only that, too, word of mouth. So no, I don't get mad. It's the responsibility of organizations such as yourself. It's like what y'all doing now is to tell the truth, to afford me the opportunity, just like anybody else, DJ Butter, to tell their story on a historical level. And at the same time, you're opening up to the masses for them to be able to hear and know the truth.
And if I just kind of just follow with you, I appreciate your answer very much so, but for me, the heart of me, just hearing your passion, your commitment, your story, your living, breathing icon and your legacy. I think my opinion on this is that I think part of what hip hop to me is always paying respect to those that came before you, paying that homage. Yes. I differ from your humble opinion is I think it's part of their job to tell your story because they are standing on, shoulders that came before them. So I think they should be helping in some way, shape, or form to help you get recognized, to help you get your place in the history books in that identity that you helped develop, because the culture you, like you said, you helped create, you helped found,
Right.
it shaped so much of our daily lives. You can't turn on
Yes.
without seeing some marketing product with hip hop attached to it, right? So for me, I think there's a little more accountability, and I appreciate your humbleness and respectfulness you showed to current artists and past
Yes.
artists. But I think they owe you a little bit of that clout that they have, as you said, Fat Five Freddy had, to find a way to get you to be recognized because you definitely deserve it. So that's
Thank you so much. Thank you.
stick with it.
And I'm working on my biopic right now, but I appreciate you so much. And hopefully, I'll see that day before I'm no longer here on this earth.
I'm be teaching about you, and
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And for every teacher or every lecturer that that's in a university, that's where my problem lies. You understand? Because you're supposed to teach, you're supposed to find out the truth. You're supposed to, and if you say that you're an educator of hip hop stories, then you gotta tell the truth. You gotta tell what really went down. That's it. It all starts with the educators as well.
definitely.
Thank you so much.
Oh yes.
We have a question from Bill Gates. Raul, is there any new music coming out from you?
Okay, so my thing, we were talking earlier, offline, and I do music a lot. I do a lot of music for a lot of people overseas. They'll call, and they'll ask me, I'm getting ready to do something with a young lady in Africa. Her name is Wayala, and she's in Ghana. And the thing is that I'm very selective about the music that I do. I don't like to just jump on tracks just to jump on tracks, just so people can hear me. It has to be meaningful. It has to be something meaningful. I might be doing something with Kaz and other old school MCs. And so I get hit with that all the time. Shall I jump on a track or jump? But to me, it has to mean something to me. It has to be the beat. It has to be something significant behind it, and that's the only way that I would do it, Yes. So I hope that answered his question or her question.
Do you think hip hop has an age limit? Considering that
No. Hip hop has no age limit. For any young school, old school cats out there that's saying, well, you need to sit down, you can't rhyme. Let me tell you something. I can go toe to toe with any MC that's out there today. It all depends on your skills. It all depends on your market. It all depends on who you're targeting. If you're an MC, you're going to always be an MC. You understand what I'm saying? But the thing is that it depends on what your market is. Hip hop has no age limit. Let me tell you something. This is what keeps me young. This hip hop is what kept me out of trouble. I retired from law enforcement. You understand what I'm saying? One thing, I couldn't get into no trouble being in law enforcement, but at the same time, for me as a woman in New York, growing up, in hip hop culture, I want to always have the legacy where I can say I respect hip hop to the fullest. Hip hop culture made me the woman I am today. And it still leads me, and I still love it. I don't be in nobody's clubs. I don't go out there like that, but I carry the culture in my heart 24/7. No, there will never be an age limit, for hip hop, for anyone that celebrates all elements of hip hop culture, not just the MC. There is no age limit.
I wanted to say, Dr. Al Khalid Al Hakim brought in Umar bin Hassan from Last Poets when he was up here. And he's in his 70s, and I thought he was going to start reciting right there too, So he would.
He'll do it.
Yeah. No, he did a
Yeah.
little James Brown shuffle real quick. It was just like super fast
And
I'm like,
awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's awesome too. And this is why, sir, I say that hip hop has no age limit, because when you have prolific people like him, you know, from the last chorus that could recite, you know, a rhyme, you know, or a poem, you know, and be prolific at it still to this day. Now, if people can't adapt to it because they don't understand it, you know what I'm saying? But that's on them. That's why hip hop has no age limit. You know, hip hop culture has no age limit. It has no age limit.
I asked that because, you know, when you're younger, you give it away so easy. You go to every jam. You know, you get older now, you barely go outside. You know, that's how we get.
But you still, but I bet you if those songs come on the radio and you get an
Of
old tape, you
course.
sitting in there jamming. So it
Yeah,
didn't
of
go away.
course.
You just don't do some of the things you used to. You don't go to the clubs. I don't go either. You understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But I still, when I'm in my car, I hear a song, I get out, I start jumping. I still listen to James Brown. I still do, I mean, I still be girl, you know, when I have see my songs that I like to come on, you know, even if I'm doing it, it has no age limit. So even though we don't go to the clubs, we still carry it in our hearts, don't we, Butter? We still rock
Yeah,
with it.
Of course.
Yeah.
I just asked because people, you know, people still want to see that. It's just like, you know, people say, yo, what, Sha Rock still be girl? Well, let me see a video of her today, or she still got it.
Well, sometimes when I'm on stage and I see those beats and I'm hosting an event and they put a James Brown on and stuff, I just do a up rock, you know, or something like that. I can't help it. You know, I can't help it.
What is one of those songs for each of you that you just lose it for? Like for me, it happened the other day. It was like Frankie Smith, Double Dutch Bus comes on.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, man. Like that hits a nerve, you know, back from when I was a kid.
For me,
you always dance to that.
For me, it's any James Brown Sex Machine. That's my favorite. Sex Machine. You know what I'm saying? Clap your hands, stomp your feet. Huh. You know what? And then the break comes. You know, or they has this a song or Just Begun. You know what I'm saying? Or the Mexican. You know, it's certain b-boy and b-girl songs that be played. You know, in the clubs that you hear it. You know, even if I hear like Sugar Hill, Rapper's Delight. That's a song that I don't care if it's 30, 40 years old, you still hear it, you still feel it. It takes you back to back in the days. You understand? So it's a lot of different songs that resonate with me when I hear it. You know, like you said, Double Dutch. I remember that era. You know, you understand? So it's a lot of different songs. You know, but James Brown to me, that's it.
James Brown do it all the time. Yeah, James
do it
Brown.
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's my go-to. That's like if I'm, you know, like just want to be able to uplift, you know, at the time, you know, James Brown. If I put on a James Brown song, man, I lose my mind, man. It's crazy, you know.
Wow.
Hey,
I have one more question
anybody
if
else
we have
have
time.
any other questions?
I do. I
instance?
got
mean,
one more.
Yeah, we could do this like all night, you know, and we're but,
I know we're running out of time here, but I really want to take.
But
yeah, and I got
this
20 I got 20 seconds, 20 bar, 20% left on my phone. That's
okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to get your take, and you know, and this going back in history a little bit, you know, on MC Shan and KRS-One, you know, they're you know, just the original, you know, the battle rap going at each other, you know, the diss song. How did you feel? How did, you know, because you were part of that, right? So what did you think about, you know, them going at one another and just your opinions on that?
Well, my thing is that I respect KRS-One and MC Shan. I mean, I'm going to always respect both of them because they're artists. But the Bronx is the Bronx. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
The Bronx is the Bronx. But no matter what, they're both talented MCs. They're both, you know, I love Shannon. I love his music too. I think he did pretty good, you know, with the song. But the Bronx is the Bronx is the Bronx.
I got you.
I got one more.
And the whole New York is New York is New York. Right. You understand? But for me, living in Texas, you know, and traveling around, I was able to hear the UGKs and all that stuff before New York did. You know, I respect LA, you know, California stuff, because you had Jazzy J, you know, who else? I mean, Africa Islam, you know, taking, you know, what we were doing back in the Bronx to Ice-T up in LA and all of that stuff. So the thing is that I respect all states, because everybody had their own style, you know. But New York is New York is New York. But I respect every state because they gave us different types of sounds, you know what I'm saying, that we could enjoy and we could appreciate, you know, outside of New York City. So, yeah.
I want to ask one more question. If you did music tomorrow, what production that you digging right now? What producer, you know, you feel that you can go in the pocket with?
I think Swiss probably would, because Swiss is from the Bronx. And he did, yeah. I think Swiss would, because Swiss is from an area that I know, you know, uptown. I don't know if he knew me, you know, back then, but he's from the era where, you know, my DJs is at, you know, uptown, you know, like uptown in the Bronx. And so Swiss would be the one because he knows the feeling of New York City. If I wanted to go to somebody different, it would probably be Timbaland second. And I like the way this producer produced Chris Brown's some of Chris Brown's music. You know, I like his style.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, I could switch it up a little bit, you know, and I just stay old school. So, and I'm quite sure there's a lot of other producers out there, but, you know, my thing is that I have like a signature sound, and I have to speak to the signature sound with bringing it have an updated version, but at the same time, stay true and core to what I know. But as I said previously, I could adapt to my environment, you know, any music, you know, because I listen to everything, you know.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Wow.
listen to everything. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, I want to thank you guys both.
Thank you.
This has been a couple housekeeping things. So DJ Butter is going to be with us on February 27th on a Saturday. He's going to be teaching a painting class, and the registration, because he's an amazing artist,
Yes.
and the registration is on our website, marshallfredericks.org.
Starting on Monday.
So you can go register. Yep.
Yep.
And next Thursday, we'll be doing 8 Mile, and we'll have Ms. Corona and Super MC
Yes.
will be doing the hosting of that one, and that'll be next Thursday, same time. Thank you guys both. I mean, this has been really fun. This is our
Yes.
kickoff, so this is
Yes.
like, wow, you know, and couldn't have had two better people. And I'm really glad that I took a whim and picked up the phone and called DJ Butter like a
Yes.
month or so ago, and like, I really like your paintings.
Yes.
What can we do for this exhibition? And he's going to do a class. And then Dr. Khalid got the amazing Shah Rock to
Yes.
come tonight too. So that's been great. It's been a win-win situation for
Yes.
us and for our community.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you,
Thank you both.
Shara.
And one other thing, I will have this eventually. We have recorded this, so we will have this put on our website probably
Okay.
within the next week for anybody to go back and check it out.
And we'll leave it up on Facebook too.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
But don't forget my portrait,
I got you. No problem.
okay? Because I
Okay,
like
if you
making
wanna
history.
have one,
You didn't,
wanna
don't
set-
forget it.
I got you.
If you
No
wanna
problem.
If you want to send
Thank
one to
you.
the museum, man, I want a Bushwick Bill portrait.
Wow. Yeah, I'll put that together.
Yes.
I'll work on that.
Yeah. Don't forget, I want mine because
I got you,
listen, I need
Shara.
to put that on my collection. Thank you.
I
And listen,
got you.
I'm honored to be a part of you and your legacy, you know, and I appreciate everything that you have did and will continue to do for hip hop. And I love
Thank
you.
I
And
love you
I'm
too.
so glad that they put us together, you know,
Oh,
Khalid,
thank
Dr.
you.
Khalid, and the museum and the university
Thank
as
you.
well. Thank y'all so much. you
Much
know.
respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
I love y'all. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
I'll put the
great
painting. I'll put a painting
Thank you.
together
It's
for
been
you
an
guys.
honor.
All right.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks,
Thank you. We'll see you
everyone, for
soon.
coming.
Bye.
Bye, y'all. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.